What's going on, everybody? It's Krusty Old Crow back again this Saturday, August 3rd. It's been a few hours since I just finished my live with John from Top Fun Retro Dog Toys 3D down there in North Carolina, the U.S. Marine with the penchant for weapons and bringing his specific nuances and understanding of the modern arsenal that the world uses out there, be it NATO or Warsaw. This guy designs them and puts them up on 3D prints, and he does amazing work. So check out that live. The Backyard Battlefield crew all showed up to meet him today. So myself, Aaron the Toy Enhancer, and 3-Star Draw. And we got to meet him, talk about his love of Joe, his love of what he does with his 3D printing and his time in the military, and a few other things, you know, just the nuances of having a discussion on a live for an hour and a half. I also got to quickly send a quick shout out to Wraith Mace, whose video premiered today. It is a stellar and phenomenal piece of work on the Grey Knights, the 666th chapter. These guys will burn the heretics and slay the demons. They are the hammer. If you ever wanted to understand what a good battle formation of the Grey Knights would actually look like, and you thought they were just little characters in armor, go have a look, man. They bring some vehicles and walkers to the battle that are just amazing. And the production value of Wraith Mace's video, not just the animation and the ongoing graphics used throughout. It's only a quick video. I believe it's no more than 7 minutes or so. But my boys, there is a song in there that Wraith Mace had his hands in, and my God, boys, go check it out. If you ever wanted a rock anthem to bang your head to in the garage while you were going through your comic collection or playing some tabletop gaming or just, you know, reliving your best days as a 13-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old, this song, he's got it, man. And it's the perfect song for his videos. So, you know, just Wraith Mace, my hat's off to you. That was stellar shit. I should probably stop swearing so much so early in my videos, but whatever, it's my channel, I'll do it. Hey guys, what's going on? You know, the Crow's been in the midst of a very big dramatic life crisis. I wouldn't call it a crisis, but big change in my life. I don't sugarcoat anything. The divorce, it's gone well, it's amicable, everything is fine. I did buy a house, I am in a slow move, there's a lot of stuff keeping me busy through the day, so it has slowed the channel content down, clearly. The part that bothers me the most is it slowed down my ability to complete on something that I started before I even knew all this would happen, which is Grievance's Prize. So in lieu of the extra time that I'm having to take getting Grievance's Prize, I of course will compensate by making it a larger and larger prize for Grievance. I have been adding to it, and I can't wait to get it done. The fact of the matter is, Grievance, I had to buy some new tooling just so I could do this right, and I went and bought myself a new airbrush because mine had shit the bed before all of this, and that's how bad I want to do it right, man. Use the correct tools correctly. What you have coming deserves the better approach, so we're doing it that. I'll show you, we got ourselves a nice Iowata that we will definitely be working on, and this is going to speed up a lot of other projects in the house. Once Grievance's Prize is on the way to him, I can carry on with a lot of the other customs. Clearly, I got to do some backdrop stuff. If you saw my live and saw my cat today hop up on that flimsy piece of holding things up, it did not for my cat and a few other toys. Nothing got broken, including my cat, but Lime has learned a lesson today. It's a lesson Kiwi doesn't seem to want to learn. Kiwi has decided that my display shelves that I want to work on is exactly where he's going to hang out. Hey, no, sleep it off. Rough night? Yeah? Doesn't matter if I yell at you, does it? Yeah, you know who runs the show. It's you, dick. All right, so that's what we're up against here. Hey, you know what else is coming as long as I was talking about Wraith Mace, guys? I told you, Joe Fest, I have a ton of figures still outstanding to do. A lot of them credited not to Joe Fest, but the Loki Wartooth, who hooked me up with my vamp, my Dr. Mindbender, my Valiverse. I owe him some solid reviews on some of that stuff. But going back to Wraith Mace for a second, it was a combination of Wraith Mace and a Punk with Toys that finally got me off the fence on my need to buy some Joy Toy. I am a veteran 40K player. I know everything Wraith Mates is laying down. Same as Shane over at Same Time Toys. I get these guys, and I get the lore, and I get the love of 40K. And these Joy Toys nailed it. Oh my god. And these aren't even, these are just 2 of a minimum of 3 I plan on buying. There's a standard bearer I'm going to be getting. That's the guy holding their battle flag, the battle honors. And this is a very sad army to use. It's the Cadian army, which was the most relatable army in the game to me. It was the humans versus all other threats in the universe. It was the regular Joes on the ground, right? Your Joes on the ground. Well, Cadia has fallen. The Eye of Terror and Chaos have swept through it and burned Cadia. So these are my survivors of Cadia, and they need the grace of the 666 chapters Overwatch over them. They need those Grey Knights in their corner. So, of course, I had to pick up some of these guys to review. You're going to see that this week or soon on the channel. I also have about 20 to 30 discounted sale figs that I picked up, you know, here and there and everywhere over the last couple of months, lining up from either Power Rangers to Fortnite to Joe itself to Marvel Legends, in which I want to do a lot of customs. Another reason why we got the airbrush, because we're going to speed things along. But you guys know I have a big background in comics in that I went to school predominantly and college to try and work with these guys. As a writer or as an artist, but the money ran out in my graphic design program. My ADHD got the better of me in a lot of bad times, and what do you know, the military, they didn't need me to study anymore and pay ridiculous college fees, so that was my life. But I'm back into exploring that part of my brain that I loved so much, that creation side, and that's what the TCCC, these Crows Customs Corners, are really about. It's me flexing that muscle, because guys, it's a big one. I got a big one. I got a big one there. All right, and I'll flex that. And you know, if it makes others feel small, that's not the intent. It's meant to make others flex their own. I don't want people to praise my work. I want them to be inspired to do their own. Right? So that's why when I do custom corners, sometimes I'll show them shit I use, right? Like, hey, you know, for cutting foam and backdrops, I picked up a hot wire cutter. Like, these little things like this. Like, oh, I picked up an Iowata airbrush because that's really a lot easier for doing vehicles, isn't it? Things like that. I'll always give you tips and things like that. And I used to do a lot more of it. And they're not tips I suggest you use. I'm just telling you how I go about it. So let's see a different way to go about this customs thing I want to do. All right, well, Kiwi's occupying the shelf, so there's really not a whole lot I can do. He kind of runs the show here, so I was going to use that shelf to show you. But I have here 2 figures among many figures that I've purchased over the last few months on clearances and sales and whatnot, that I had a very vested interest in for doing some customizing. Not kit bashing, just customizing. Minimal kit bashing in that he's going to get a head swap so he doesn't look like Cassian Andor, and he's going to get some paint on somewhere to break up the look of this. But I love the jacket that he's wearing and everything like that, and I really wanted this character because I saw so much potential in it. I just didn't know where he belonged in my shelf canon with my Joes or my Cobras or the what? Where did he belong? This one I had a better inkling of just because of the way the artist nailed this character so well. All I really want to do is a few touch-ups, maybe a color change for the shirt, and maybe dirty up her oily rag smock because she's clearly a maintenance type, right? So what I did was, I'm a big fan of books like these that you can get, like, if you're not going to collect comics anymore, you know, and you still want to stay in tune, every now and then you can find these on great deals and just stay current and keep your juices flowing, keep that muscle flexing. But I had enough of that, and this time I went straight to Renegade Studios because I had been tired of seeing this book in its existence and knowing that this could probably be something really useful to me. Now, have I ever played a role-playing game? Of course I have. Do I like them? Depends on the one it is. I find most of them have zero appeal to me anymore, especially as an adult at my age. It's really hard to capture my interest, but there are a few out there that have some nice premises that are fun if you're with the right group of people. Unfortunately, out here in Ottawa, I'm pretty much without them most of the time. I do have a group of friends that like to get together and do that, but the way my life's been lately, I just haven't been able to focus on any of that, and therefore, I don't consider myself a role-playing gamer. I did not buy this book to play the game, although that would be nice, and I would explore that if the opportunity presented itself with the right group of people again, but I don't expect such things. I bought this book specifically for the idea of designing characters for this game and then making figures out of them. This would be a new tool for doing customs, as I saw, and this would be a set of guidelines, which none of us have when we're creating. A lot of them, we create our own guidelines. Aaron and I talk about this at great lengths, Aaron the Toy Enhancer. Tony Figgs, I'm sure, can relate to a lot of what I'm saying. Sometimes you would like to do more, but you're kind of wondering how far is too far. What's pertinent? What's relevant? What's irrelevant? What is a nuance that belongs on a figure that no one would ever confuse what that's about? And it's so specific. Maybe it's a tattoo, maybe it's a patch, maybe it's an eye patch, maybe it's a cybernetic, maybe it's a specific gun, maybe it's something, right? A specific jacket, who knows? All of that can come through going through the character development parts of this book and playing along with the idea of writing a character, but holding the buck that you want to use, let's say old Dusty here, and picturing where this is going. So what I did was last night I sat down before I even did this, before I was on Punk's Live, and I selfishly plugged this a couple ways today, and I apologize to Punk with Toys for his members only chat for mentioning the live today with Top Fun Retro Toys, but I felt it was pertinent to people in that chat, same as I feel like this was. So I did mention it, I overstepped, and I do apologize if that was the case. But one of the things I did was I went out and I bought my retro Snow Serpent today. It was something I was holding off on. I wasn't at all excited about it. Wasn't a big fan of this kit loadout, but you will see a review on it, don't worry. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to make this my custom Snow Serpent, because I only bought one and he doesn't match the other Snow Serpents I have in my troop build of that. Relax, it's just two. But perhaps he could be the new squad sergeant and wear the furs, or perhaps he could be something that the Snow Serpents are missing. This is going to help me figure that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through this beautifully illustrated 339-page book and give you the gist of what they're laying down. As we go, I will be narrating and voicing over and explaining to you, because I'm only focusing on the character creation aspect, because that's the relevant part of this. I'll be showing you some stuff in this book and explaining to you where that applies with these characters, maybe some deductions I got. We're going to look at this from the eyes of Lee Emery and from the eyes of Steve Carell, from two iconic roles. I'm going to look at this as a hardened veteran combat armed sergeant and what I want my soldiers to be, and I'm going to look at this as a inexperienced, artistic, introverted, I'm a virgin to everything, and I'm going to apply it to how we go about it here as I explain it to somebody. This is not meant to talk down to anybody or to act like people don't have their own talents. This is meant to say, here's another tool in the box. Have you considered it? Isn't it nice to get inspiration from all different angles? This is clearly from the Operation Blackout era of Joe, the very start of Classified. You'll see that in some of the art. But you can also see a lot of really amazing illustrations, content, ways of thinking, and potentials for your shelf canon, your Joe enjoyment, and whatever it is that brings you back to this line on whatever tangible level you want. Stick around. Let's do this. So there's the book and some things I often use when I'm doing any kind of customs or creating a character of any kind or anything like that. It's the old pen, pencil, and paper. Something to jot down these deductions as I make them and I scrutinize the character creation part of this. But I'm going to walk you through just what's in this book. I'm going to show you basically how the chapters are laid out, some pics from what's in there. Some of the art, I'm not going to show you everything, and I'm not going to give you every part of every chapter, because I want you guys to take an interest in this book, if it is interest you, and get one for yourself. If what you see in the pictures and the imagery, and what I'm telling you about why to have this book resonates with you, I will tell you, in Canada, I paid about $75 for this. In the US, you're going to pay about $50 to $60 for this. And I think it's money well spent. So I've got my Snow Serpent there. I've got my my Fortnite and my Star Wars character. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to just take some notes as I try to figure out what the actual roles of these customs are going to be in my shelf. Here we go. So inside, right off the bat, after you go through the table of contents, which I don't show you here, you get this glorious little piece of art of the entire intended line as they had it around the era of the Operation Blackout, just before Classified was really getting any kind of steam, I think. But you can see we have our host of characters here. There's clearly a story. You see Crocmaster down on the bottom. You see Darklawn up at the top, like the Rogues Gallery. Everybody's there. And it's almost like it's a Skybound comic crossover here, but it's got nothing to do with Skybound, because we all know they hadn't started the Joe and Dark Energon crossover at this time. So just a quick shot of some of the art. The art is very comic book art, but also some portrait art in here for a lot of computer-generated art, just stuff specifically for the book or perhaps for the video game. And you'll see some crossover with a lot of your familiar Classified art in this book. So we'll just pan around. You can see what you got there. You got some Iron Grenadiers and some Crimson Guard side by side, it looks like. And like I said, you got Crocmaster in front of Brig Brawler, who's beating on a troop thanks to that range Viper holding the guy down. You got Storm Shadow up there. You can see Zartan and his brother Xander. And we know Xander's on his way. And below that culprit, they seem to be standing over Stalker right now, with Duke about to tackle him from behind. And Wild Bill paratrooping in. The next page is the introduction to the whole game, basically. It's General Hawk's debriefing, and it's basically briefing you on the world that GI Joe lives in and the Cobra threat. This spot specifically really breaks down who Cobra is and what their threats are, but it's not a stats page. It's just a brief overview. Like it says, it's a debriefing. So they treat you like you're a new recruit and you're making your new character, and you've never heard of Cobra before. You never heard of Baroness, nor have you heard of Destro. Clearly my next page wants to be shown here, so I think we're just going to allow that to be shown at some point here. But yeah, essentially it's just a who's who gallery here. So we'll just wait till you guys get that last bit, and I'm going to do some editing here. Oh, no, never mind. We're about to get to the next clip. So how sloppy is this? But here you go. So it also briefs you on some of the Joes you need to know. But again, it's that brief overview. No statistics are given. But what you get is maybe some new write-ups that could have appeared on a file card for Classify if you have a look at them. And I'll read you just, let's read Alpine. Seeing as Alpine's coming, his file card could have read, when life's got you down, Alpine's the guy you want to spend time with. He's serious when he needs to be, sure, but when he doesn't need to be, he's cracking jokes, breaking into song, telling stories. You won't get a word in edgewise, though. I'm pretty sure he got into rock climbing because the echo makes it easier for him to hear his own voice. So that would show up on the back of a Classified file card for sure, but it should show up on the retro one. I can't see them now that they have as many scripts for these guys down as they do, rewriting all of this when they have them sitting there in this book. It's actually pretty neat to read it all. So yeah, you get a whole bunch of characters, and it's all in alphabetical order. Pretty much not every Joe out there, just a lot of the core ones that we all recognize. Definitely a lot of the ones that we have. But they've got Helix, they've got Shooter in there. I see Iceberg in here, Hit and Run is in here, Kamakura's in here. Like, they let you know who Mainframe and Mercer are, and all these other great characters. You get a nice little read up. It's a good read. And just a little write up on the end. It says, now you know, what about my favorite Joe? And it tells you there's an open world out there. Now, there's also accessory books that'll come with this one. I did see the Cobra source book that comes out with this, and this will probably give you all the player stats if you are into playing these games and things like that. And I think that's what the Joes will have as well. But that's not what this book is about. This is about creating a character. So it tells you about the game master and playing the game. And again, I'm not playing this game. I really don't have the time or the personnel to do it with, although I have had somebody take an interest in the online, and we might see what that's about if time allows. But I am talking about the character creation here because that is where we want to go with the customs. I really want to feel what my character should look like based on a firm understanding of what that person does or has been through. And this book will help me dial that in because my brain is a whirlwind of thought at all times, and trying to pluck a single organized thought out is a big effort for me, wherein other people seem to have it inherent to their thought process. For me, like I said, you're asking me to pluck one leaflet out of a tornado to keep it organized. So here we go. We're going to just see what's on the next pages here. So it breaks it down to the simple process of how to get started with this. And you'll see in the top left what it says. It says, once you're ready to start making or creating your character, follow these steps. 0, you will discuss with your GM and other players. We don't have to do that. I am all people here. You come up with your character concept as the first step. The second step is set starting essences. Third, select influences. Fourth, choose an origin. Fifth, select a role. And 6th, describe your character. 7th, form your squad. I'm not going to worry about the last 2 steps because for me, describing the character is all about painting and doing up the figurine the way that I want it. And forming a squad is strictly putting them on the shelf at this point, right? We're not playing a game. We are building Joes here. So the character sheet and all that other stuff, if you guys are interested, this is where it would start telling you certain ways to fill it out. And definitely, as I go through this, you'll see they talk about stats, bonuses, and everything like that. We won't worry about it. So starting essences are basically your S's. And they're broken down into the 4 categories, and it's a character that is, predominantly where they're predominantly strongest, right? So you have your strength essence, you have your speed essence, your smarts, and your social, and you can read there what all of those are, and they give examples of everything like that. So when you select your influences for your character, what you're basically doing is you're skipping ahead to the chapter that says influences and picking from a list of ideas of where your character ever got the idea of doing what they do, kind of deal. And it's part of the background concept. So I'm not so worried about recording anything there. I think that stuff will come out of the wash, but you have to look at the list. Next, you're going to choose an origin, like how did they come across, how did they get noticed by Joe or by Cobra or whatever, all that stuff. That's where you'll do that. And again, that's another list. Health and skills, we won't worry about health so much because I'm not filling out a stat here. And the skills are just a nice read to give you a picture of what your character might have a strength in that makes them unique, and perhaps that lends to a unique painting, kit, ad, or something, right? So after that, you get into selecting a role. So this is where I really like the focus sometimes, being ex-military, and I have had the conversations a few times of what kind of MOS IDs, trades, quals are missing from the Joe line that essentially are really important to the battlefield. On this page, they talk about levels and derived benefits. That's all statistics driven for a character sheet. I'm not worried about it. Describing your character is just your basic write-up. And then the essences, they go over that again. And equipment. Okay, equipment is something that, for the purpose of this video, I'll just show you the lists and everything. Like, I'm showing you the whole book, of course. But I'm not going to get into what I'm going to give these characters because I have to go through what's available to me as well. So, and then the 7th step, of course, forming your squad. Like I said, I guess in the gameplay, they would allow you to ideally pick who you would want to have in this game. I'm not really sure. Starting way on first is the idea of playing as a veteran. What are the consequences? And they go over that in the tiers of play. So maybe you've played enough role-playing games in the past, like Starfinder, Marvel Superheroes, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, whatever, Vampire Masquerade. I don't know. Maybe you're familiar enough. Maybe you don't want to start at tier 1. You want to start at tier 5.
Okay, influences. I talked about that. We're going to go through and say, so what? So, what would the influences be for, say, a snow serpent? And so we start looking into that laundry list that they provide, and we start getting an idea. So, on the pages, you can see having multiple influences as available, custom influences. But these are the influences, and they're basically alphabetized as adventure, artisan, athlete, checkered past, gearhead, green shirt, martial artist, nomad, small town roots, professional, specialist, and thrill seeker, right? And so they give examples of what that looks like as far as what Joe would be what. So for an athlete, they would give an example of Bazooka playing American football or Big Lob playing basketball. For martial artists, that's obvious, but a nomad would include Big Ben or Taurus. Here you can see the checkered past idea. And so that's one that I think if I said, so what, how does this apply to, say, a snow serpent? Maybe he doesn't need the checkered past, but if I were to say, so what, how does this apply to this Cassian Andor character that I'm making? Well, maybe he was ex-Cobra, maybe you can go down the list and get ideas, and maybe that leads to a feature that you put on him. Maybe he's got Cobra boots because you had Cobra boots for your conversion, and he never changed his boots when he left, right? Or maybe it's a thrill seeker, and so if I were to say, so what for the snow serpent? So the snow serpents are paratroopers and kayakers. And so this is already almost inherent to him. So maybe he's got a weird hang up about him because they do talk about hang ups. And maybe with his paratrooper outfit, it's a different color. That's why I went with the retro. But maybe I add some better little accessories to the sides to help him, like a waterproof gun for when he lands in the water, collapsible kayak oars strapped to the back of him because he's going to land next to his kayak and go or something. Like just stupid shit like this that it's just, they give you an idea of what's missing off your character, what could be there, what could be justifiable, unique, or conform to the concepts that Hasbro already started with characters like that, and you want to pay homage to it or maybe one up it somehow. Okay, so after you get into your influences, you have to get into your origins, right? So we're going to have a look at what's included in the origins here, and they really give you the breakdown of basically what you'd expect: Army, Navy, Air Force, other government organizations, non-branch specific origins. So they allow you to come from everywhere, including, of course, first responders, origins, and things like that. But they let you pick the branch of your origin and then dial it into the specifics. And with all of that would come all the stat bonuses and everything like that. But we're not worried about that. All we're asking is, so what? So where does this character come from, right? And what is their origin? So if I were to, so what, say the Fortnite girl, I would say, well, look how tattooed she is and everything like that. She could be a base brat whose dad was, light infantry or anything of that effect, right? And it would start to make sense why those tattoos are there and why maybe she's got some military experience and things like that. Perhaps she herself is a mechanic and, she kept those tattoos, became a civilian mechanic. There you go. There's a deduction you can get. So you can start doing their kit, justifying the kit that figure already came with if you wanted to, or utilize new kit that you wanted to add to that character to give them the right? So if I were to so what that Cassian Andor one, maybe I would look into a covert ops origin. So what with him? Maybe he's a spy. Maybe he's something else. Maybe he's really high dark ops. Maybe he's that interrogator I've been looking for. After you do that, you get into the roles. So what? So what role would she have? Oh, well, okay. And you start looking at what's missing. And again, they've got a table of contents to look at. And that table of contents is useful in breaking it down into a few different trades, basically, or roles: commando, infantry, officer, ranger, renegade, technician, and vanguard. And they give you an example and an explanation as to what those roles fill. And then for the next bunch of pages, what you get is examples of those people that we know in Joe that fill those roles. Nice little picture of it, a description of what that role is and what unique benefits it brings to the table. And this is all about the gameplay at this point. Everything you pick comes with rules and benefits and all this stuff, things you add to your D20 when you roll to make your character whatever. For terms of conversion, what this does is it allows me to, start looking at, okay, if I wanted to make a ranger, The thematics here of what they need is kind of listed here, and it gives you the vibe you're looking for. So you start getting some inspiration based maybe on what their benefits are, like stealth. Okay, maybe this is the guy with the ghillie suit. Or if it was stealth, maybe I need to cam up that face. Maybe I want black gloves. Maybe all his blades are blackened so he's not seen by the glint of light. You see where I'm going? And so they've got a lot of charts and information for you to refer to. And that's what this really breaks down to, guys. You don't have to use this as a game book to play a game that maybe you're not interested in playing at all. But if you were to look at this as a reading book of Joe information, and that falls within your lines of your hobby or your collecting passion, great. If not, it's just a nice piece of Joe book lore kit to put on your shelf, have as a background. It's really beautifully illustrated. And there are some neat reads in here. And you know what? I think there's a few clues in here is some things we should be looking for and classified that maybe Hasbro considers their deep, dark surprises. And I've got an example of one such, I think, here in this slideshow. But so as I focus in on my character, like with the maintainer, if I looked at all the things that fell under, say, technician here, I would start realizing new nuances to the character. I would start understanding where that character fits in, not just in the Joes, but where I want them on my shelf, right? The so what factor, if I were to apply essence and scores and skills, this is another category entirely, to the Cassian Andor, who, let's just say I said I want him to be in the interrogator. This would be where you would pick up and select all those cool little tricks, graces, things they know all along. And there's the way it's all treated when you are rolling to do things in the game. Again, I don't care about this for a conversion, but having that list to read from, that might be cool for doing poses or the kit again. The general perks is more of the same. It's what's inherent with them, and it's the again, like skill sets or remember when I do a review, I call it Joe Privilege or Cobra Privilege. These are the other things that they can bring to the game that you unlock through experience, selection, talking to your game master. This is where you would get, guys like Mutt getting his dog and stuff like that, right? So having a look at this, maybe you do want to add an animal pet. Maybe if you decide, I read all out perks and I think they should have multiple weapons, or linguistics. Man, my guy's gonna have a headphone and a little special voice modulator pack on his throat, and all these other little vocal kits to represent that he can speak multiple languages because he's the comms guy, right? Or the mentor. The mentor is in plain clothes, not in a uniform. Oh my God, look how quick you can come up with ideas here. Robot pet. Well, my God, yes, man. Have we gotten one of those from Mars yet? Ooh, my God. Pork belly. What happens if pork belly goes down? Can we get cyber pork belly? Equipment is, of course, probably one of the coolest sections of the book because it just takes you down memory lane and allows a role player game player to say, hey, oh my God, I'm going to use this finally. It was just like what I always wanted to get very excited. For you and me building conversions here, it would just be a reference list of things that, maybe you could build. Maybe you're into building custom vehicles. Maybe you're into 3D printing. Maybe you're looking for ideas for shelves. This is where all this, I see a lot of use in this. And again, we get some nice, beautiful drawings in here, some nice imagery of characters that we haven't classified or that we don't. And maybe that inspires you to make one, right? There's a whole thing in pets here. And not once do they show a picture of anybody with a pet, which I think is the real travesty of the art in the book. No Mutt, no Spirit, no Crocmaster on this page. And there you go, 3-star, the Moray. The vehicles, yeah, they do some good write-ups and everything like that. There's some interesting points on how they see the Joe vehicles scaling against each other. Things like that. So a lot of good just general reference and idea concepts in here. A lot of charts. And if you're playing the game, man, I think you'd really love the access they give you just in this book. And then the compendiums that as they come out. But there you can see the whale, the shark, right? And then they get into describing how the game goes with the flow of combat, right? So the rules of play, which I'm not going to talk about here because it's got nothing to do with customizing a character. So you can see, I hope, where this all falls into the toolbox. And that what I'm presenting you is a really nice illustrated book that belongs on a shelf, whether you're into role playing or not. If you're into Joe, you could appreciate this. And especially if you are into customizations and building your own Joe characters, or doing variations on the Joe characters and putting them in your own interpretation, I find this to be an exceptional resource. And there's just a lot of good familiar stuff too. Like I said, you can see some clues. Hey, look, Bomb Strike. You can see Cobra Island. You can see all these different locations, the pit, the flag, all these places you could put your characters. There's the Arctic, right? And that starts thinking about your backdrops and backgrounds as I see it. But I mean, for you guys, it may take an interest in a role-playing game. As you can see, I'm really struggling with the wind at this point in the video. Look at that, targeting some tanks there. There's your locations of Cobra Island. Oh, and we've seen this art before, haven't we, guys? So you definitely see some overlap between Operation Blackout, the video game, the classified line, and this, right? And then we do get some character stats in this if you wanted some stats just of your villains, core villains. I won't show all of them, but it just breaks them down so your game master can introduce your character to a challenge appropriately. But this is what I wanted to show you, is the vehicle breakdown. Here we go. Threat level for a Fang is 5. For a Rattler, HasLabs, it's 8. But what is a Moray? Well, motherfuckers, it's a 9. Okay, so we need a Moray. I agree with Down South 77 and all the others in the Moray corner. It's got to come. But it's just nice little missions there. Oh, who's that? That's Blackout. You know who he is? Well, that's Bomb Strike's brother. And that, of course, was a female Televiper. And that, of course, was the Hiss. I don't care.
So that's going to do it for this one, guys. That has been the GI Joe core rule book for the GI Joe role-playing game. You can see I got a couple of dings there. It's an E20 product from Renegade Studios, Essence 20 role-playing system. You can order it from Hasbro Pulse. You can probably find them on Amazon, but it might be a bit more. Or you can visit Essence 20 Studios and renegadegames.com and maybe find a copy there. Like I said before, I paid about $78 Canadian for this, so in the States I imagine it'll be around the $50. I think this cost me closer to 80. But as far as a review of it goes, on a role-playing game level, I have no idea, and I can give you no such review. I cannot tell you whether this is a great role-playing game or not. I simply cannot. I'm not in the situation right now to even tell you. I'll get back to you on that. What I can tell you is, as far as a gratification of feeling like I purchased a large resource of information, like a Joe Cyclopedia, yes. As far as, you know, beautiful art and having an interesting feature on my shelf, absolutely. The inspiration in this book is priceless. Absolutely priceless. And I will be buying the compendiums. And again, no intention to really play. Maybe try it online with the people that have offered. See if that works. If it doesn't, oh well. Not why I bought it. But the compendiums are equal to this, but lesser in size and lesser, of course, in dollar price. And I'm eager to start getting them in and getting even more inspired. So I'm going to finish off this video by recommending that, like I said, regardless of your wants or desires for a new role-playing game, perhaps this one for the Joe enthusiast should find a special spot in your consideration, especially for the customizers, diorama builders, and conversion guys, just for the purposes of feeling inspired or having a different perspective, like the one I'm trying to get. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for TCCC. I will see you soon with more reviews and all of that, but I'm going to have to take a break in between and move some more stuff. All right, see you soon.